8. Freddie Prinze Jr. couldn't prove he had range. Prinze hit the big time in the late 1990s and early 2000s with successful films such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, She's All That, and Scooby-Doo, but after that, his popularity seemed to drop off dramatically. He was no longer the young heartthrob, and by the time his semi-autobiographical sitcom Freddie hit the screens, fans were losing patience with him. He followed up with a series of box office flops, including Belgo, which broke box office records for the lowest earning on an animated film. Without any meaty roles to prove his range, Freddie just seemed to quietly fade into obscurity. He made his last film almost 10 years ago. 9. Jessica Biel thinks she is too hot for leading roles. There was a time when everyone thought that Jessica Biel, the actress who got her start with the hit TV show Seventh Heaven, was going to be Hollywood's next leading lady. She seemed to have everything an iconic actress needed to make it big: beauty and talent. But Jessica's career just seemed to suffer one blow after another. She started out well with roles in films like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Elizabethtown, but then she chose to do I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, which earned her a pair of Razzie nominations and did nothing for her image. Then she lost out on two major roles in The Dark Knight Rises and Les Miserables, which both went 2.5 away instead. According to Jessica, she thinks that her good looks are to blame for her lack of leading roles, but we're not convinced. 10. Josh Hartnett turned down multiple superhero roles. After having developed a solid acting resume with successful films like Halloween H20, 20 years later, The Faculty, Black Hawk Down, Virgin Suicides, and Pearl Harbor, casting directors were lining up to hire Josh Hartnett. But he seemed to have very set ideas about what type of projects he wanted to work on and refused to get sucked into commercial or typecast roles. He was approached several times to play a role of Clark Kent/Superman, but he turned it down over and over again, as he did not want to commit to a predicted 10-year role. When asked about this decision, he said, "It just wasn't the kind of movie I wanted to do. I turned down other superhero roles as well." Is it just us, or do you also feel that Josh never reached his full potential? 11. What happened to Eva Mendes? Until Eva landed her role in the blockbuster crime flick Training Day, she was stuck in the B-list circuit. She started acting in the 90s with movies like Children of the Corn v. Fields of Terror and Urban Legends, Final Cut, but it was only after Training Day that people realized that she had some real ability and was not just a pretty face. She landed a few choicer roles following this performance, most notably in films like All About the Benjamins, Too Fast, Too Furious, We Own the Night, Stuck on You, and Hitch, but then she just seemed to drop off the map. Her last film, Lost River, which was written by her husband Ryan Gosling, was met with dismal reviews from critics, and it seems like Hollywood has all but given up her. 12. Hugh Grant's charm has worn thin. Has Hugh Grant's charm finally worn off? Hugh started working as an actor in the early 80s, and by the mid-90s he was one of Hollywood's hottest commodities, with leading roles in films like For Weddings and Funeral, 9 Months, and Sense and Sensibility. But then he was caught cheating on Liz Hurley with a prostitute, and his career took a turn for the worst. But he managed to overcome the scandal and started pumping out the hits again with movies like Bridget Jones' Diary, Notting Hill, Love Actually, and About a Boy, and it seemed for a while that his fans had forgiven his indiscretion. Then, from around 2009, his career fell apart again when Did You Hear About the Morgans? Bombed spectacularly at the box office, and he's been struggling to land a decent role ever since. 13. Seann William Scott's party guy persona got old real fast. Seann William Scott made a name for himself as American Pie's Stifler, the rude, beer-guzzling young guy with the smoking hot mom. After the success of this movie, he went on to star in a number of profitable films like Final Destination, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Dude, Where's My Car?, and joined up for every American Pie sequel, but he could never seem to break out of the party guy persona, and casting directors were not quite sure what to do with him next. He voiced Crash in the Ice Age franchise, but his on-screen career took a further nosedive when he signed on to do Goon 2, which was a massive disappointment for fans who had enjoyed him in Goon. Is a revival on the cards for this aging party guy? We think not. 14. Tobey Maguire now works behind the scenes. Actors and actresses who enjoy long Hollywood careers know that you constantly need to reinvent yourself in order to stay current. You can't get typecast, and you just can't stay the same forever because audiences get bored pretty quickly. Nowhere is this more evident than with the case of Tobey Maguire. His boyish good looks and puppy dog eyes might have served him well in his early career when he made his bones with films like Wonder Boys, Seabiscuit, and The Cider House Rules, and they might have gotten him into that famous Spidey suit, but now that he's a man in his 40s, Hollywood just doesn't seem to have a place for him anymore. These days, Tobey is working more behind the scenes with narration roles like Boss Baby than in front of the camera. 15. Katherine Heigl is too difficult to work with. There's no mystery as to why no one wants to hire Katherine Heigl anymore. According to Hollywood insiders, Katherine, who rose to prominence as Izzy on Grey's Anatomy, a role which earned her an Emmy in 2007, is notoriously difficult to work with, and to make matters worse, she also doesn't seem to know when to keep her mouth shut. When she was nominated for a second Emmy in 2008 for her role as Izzy, she withdrew, saying she felt the writing for the character had not been up to par. The producers took great offense to this and subsequently wrote her out of the show. She was lucky enough to land her role in Knocked Up at Her, and Hathaway walked out on the movie, but after the film's release she publicly criticized it as being sexist. Do you think she'll ever learn, or is her career well and truly over?